Oh, hey there everybody. Thanks for coming back for part 2. If you haven't watched part 1 of the series yet, I highly suggest going back and watching that video first, because today we're going to be talking about setting up your DNC computer. In my opinion, this is the best way to send data to your old Haas controller without buying any specialized equipment. It really doesn't require a whole lot of processing power to get this done. So here we are looking at the back of the machine. The server I'm using is a Lenovo ThinkServer TS140. As seen here on screen. I didn't specifically buy this computer for this purpose, but I had it laying around. But it kind of worked out for me because it had a printer port on board, which most people won't even recognize. They might mistake it for a graphics output like a VGA connection. This is commonly referred to as a DB9 connection. Don't confuse the graphics output, the VGA connector, for the DB9 connector. They look kind of the same, but trust me, they're not. The boys over at Haas back in '97 give us a nice plaque on the machine explaining what each input-output will actually do in their serial port 1 and serial port 2. Now, I went ahead and read the manual. Serial port 2 is reserved for like a 5th axis communication of some sort. We can only use serial port number 1. Okay, so as you can see, this side's a little bit different. It's called a DB25. So if you want this cable, you're going to be looking for a DB9 to a DB25 null modem cable. You can go ahead and plug your DB25 connection into the first slot. Make sure you tighten this stuff down because it does vibrate when the machine starts going and you don't want this cable coming undone. To get our controller or computer to start talking, we're going to need a few settings out of the book. And these can be located on page 84, and here are the settings we're looking at. In order to get this all working, we're going to have to make sure that these settings on a controller and these settings on our computer match each other. So whatever baud rate you pick, whatever version of even parity or odd parity, or stop bit, or X on and off, it needs to be the same on both the controller and the computer. These parts are super easy. Just do what I do. Hit the start button and just type in DEV, and that first thing that pops up, the device manager, just go ahead and click on that. When the window is done loading, you want to come over here to this arrow where it says ports. Click the arrow to make it drop down, and you're going to see something called Communications Port COM1. This is the one that we're going to be using. Right click on COM ports, go to the properties, and go to the port settings. This is where those settings on page 84 come into play. You can choose your baud right here. That's basically the bits per second. I recommend 9600. Take a picture or write down the settings. We're going to need to input them into the machine. Go ahead and hit OK. And go back over to your CNC controller. Go ahead and hit the settings key one time, and you should see this menu. Using the page up and the page down button, we can scroll through the menu. We need to start scrolling through the menu until we get to this menu, the RS232 port, and go ahead and match your settings to the ones you've written down or the ones that you inputted into your computer. Just so I don't confuse anybody, we only need to worry about those couple blocks. Those are the only ones that we'll be editing. While we're in here, I recommend changing one more setting. Hit page down one more time until you get to this menu. We want to make sure that we enable MDI, and I'll explain later what that means. Go ahead and hit the settings key one time, and you should see this menu. This is the menu you're going to see. We want to make sure this enable DNC reads 1. If it's not, we have to scroll over and change the value to 1. But this setting is usually going to be locked by default. You're going to have to unlock it by reading the manual. Okay, so we're back over on the computer. Go to DNC4U.com and download the DNC4U application and install it on your computer. Once you have the software installed, you should see the wizard pop up. Go ahead and name the CNC whatever you feel like you want to use. Hit next, and you're going to want to select that COM port 1. This is the same port from earlier as we set up in the device manager. Go ahead and hit next. You see that it's open and everything's good. This is going to be the baud rate that we selected earlier. Basically, this application gives you a range. Go ahead and select whatever one you should fall into. When you're happy with all this, hit next. This next step's a little bit tricky. Step 4 out of 5, we're going to have to send a file from our CNC controller to our computer. And to do this, we have to go back over to the CNC controller. I'm going to assume at this step most people don't have a file on the controller that they can send to the DNC4U application. So I'm going to show you how to quickly write one. The first step we're going to want to do is go to Edit. That's going to bring up this menu. Now from here we can use the F1 key so that way we can get up to this upper program menu selection bar. We can go ahead and we can use the arrow keys to scroll over left and right, up and down, until we get to the point where we can go to the program. We're going to want to create a new program. Highlight Create New Program. You have to hit Enter once. It's going to ask you for a program name and come up with a 4 to 5 digit number that you want to use. We're going to use 4 sevens. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're done, hit Enter. It should create a new program over here on the right hand side or left hand side depending. And at this point we can go ahead and write a small program that we can send to our DNC. As you can see, the outline of this box is on the left hand side of the screen. In order to get to the program on the right hand side of the screen, we need to hit the edit button one time, which is going to move that box to the right hand side of the screen so we can edit this program only. At this point we need to hit right one time so we can move the highlighted number to the semicolon, so that way we can insert some lines of code. I'm going to try to make this as painless as I can for everybody. Go to the video's description. I'll have all of this code in there so that way you can easily reference it. But I'm going to make it really basic. We're going to add a G01 code for the first line. We need to give it a speed. In this case, we're going to say F 2000. We need to give it some XY coordinates, so we can say X0, Y0. So space X0 dot space Y0 dot. That should be our first line of code. And at that point, you can hit the insert button, which is going to put it there. Let's add a few more lines of code in there just for safekeeping. Now, the next line we can say is a G01. And we're going to say we want to go to X1, Y1. And we're also going to hit insert. Oop. We got a little bit of an issue there. I'm not sure if that line is right there, but we want to delete that. So go ahead and scroll over, get to that line, and hit the delete button, and that fixes that. Perfect. The last line of code is pretty simple. We're going to do an MO2, which basically means we want the program to stop. And that should be good enough. We should be able to send that. So this file is automatically going to be saved to your programs, and I'll show you how to get to there next. Hit the List Program button, and that should bring you back to this menu. As you can see, our 077 program that we just created is highlighted with the star in front of it. We're in good shape here. Because the code we wrote is so short, we're going to have to send this file a couple times to the DNC4U application for it to read it. Go ahead and hit the Send RS232 button one time on the controller, and you'll see this change on the screen. Once you see the Analyze Next pop up, hit Send RS232 again. Once you see the 38400E72 pop up, go ahead and hit Send RS232 again. And hit it one more time. And hit it one more time. And hit it one more time. And there you go. There's the first line of code. Now keep doing this until it finishes out and the next box appears. And at that point, we can hit Next, and we can finalize the setup. And you can just hit Finish at this point. I recommend everybody explore the application a little bit and get familiarized with the interface. At this point, we have a blank slate. The most important thing to note when writing a program is the program must start with a percentage and end with a percentage. So go ahead and add those in. Your program must fall in between these two percentage marks. I highly recommend enabling caps locks. It'll make your life a lot easier. After adding in your percentage marks, the first thing you need to do is add a capital O to the first line, followed by a 5-digit number of your choosing. Try to make these 5-digit numbers unique, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And if we want to give it a description what the program is, we can use a bracket, and we can say, first, real, CNC, prog. And as long as you're in the brackets, this is a comment, it won't affect the program at all. So each line that you write, you can actually add a description what the line does. We're going to use this line of code, which tells us that we're going to be using a G00 to go to X0, Y0 rapidly. The G90 code, which is going to make sure that we have our absolute coordinate system, and a G54, meaning that we're using G54 as our home 0 position. This is confusing, don't worry about it. You really only need these two lines in order for your program to run correctly for the first time. You probably should retract your spindle up into a safe area before turning it on, and let's tell the machine to go to X0, Y0, and we're going to keep the spindle about 4 inches above the workpiece. This will move the machine rapidly to X0Y0Z4.0. Now Z is at a positive value, so that means the spindle will be above the workpiece. If it was a negative value, it'd be diving into the workpiece, which would not be good. Our third line of code probably should be to turn the spindle on. At this point, we're going to need an M code, M03, and now we need to tell the spindle how fast it needs to go. We're going to say S5000. We may just want to test the code out and not turn the spindle on. So at this point, we can comment this line out by putting brackets around it. It won't execute it. You see how it changed color in the DNC editor? That means this line of code has been disabled and commented out. Our next line is to tell the machine to go someplace. Typically, when we want to go someplace, we want to use a G01, because we can set the speed at what the machine travels. Now we need to tell the machine how fast it has to travel there. So we need to come up with a feed number. We're going to say F500. Now we're going to tell the machine to go to X1.0. Our next line, we're going to tell the machine to go to Y1.0. The last code we're going to need is to tell the spindle to turn off and to end the program. These are both going to be M codes. You cannot use two M codes in the same line. First step is to add your spindle off code. To turn your spindle off, type M05. To stop your program, you need to use an M00. Alright, we're ready. We wrote our first program officially. Now it's time to upload it to the controller, which is pretty simple. I mean, like, this is literally the simplest part of the whole video. Are you ready? Let's go. Over on your controller, hit the list program button one time. Using the cursor, move all the way down to all. Press the receive RS232 button. Anywhere in the black screen, right click. Go over to send, and this is going to be whatever you named your CNC. With any luck and you followed my steps, you should see this. Serial receive done. And look, there it is. If you want to make edits to the program, hit the edit key. Now you can edit your program in the controller. Or hit mem to be able to actually use the program. All you'd have to do now is make sure you set a 0 and hit the start button. If you made it to the very end, thanks for watching. Remember that optional part in the very beginning? This is how you use the DNC MDI mode. Click the MDI DNC mode one time. It's going to bring you to this menu. Click it one more time. Now it's going to say waiting for data. And all we got to do now, right click and send to Haas. Just like that. Enjoy.